Take a look at this mountain. Your fate has brought you right here. Right in this space. You are brought. And you're facing a mountain of guilt and shame. A mountain of fucking lies. A mountain of fucking years of drama. Years of operating fucking alone. Take a good look at this fucking mountain. This is your goddamn fucking mountain. Created by you. You admire this mountain every day. The reason you created this mountain, it is to hide behind it. It is so big that you can hide. But if you only knew what stands on the other side. They talk about the city of God. They talk about the city of God in all the fucking scriptures. But you have never seen your city. Your city. The city of your soul is on the other side of the mountain. But you never refused to even consider that it's there. And so you lived for years admiring the goddamn fucking mountain. You worship your mountain. You worship your lies. You worship your stories. And in this place, you talk about your mountains to your wife and your kids. And you kill their hopes to even have a fucking chance to go in that city. And so this mountain stands between you and that city. And there is a river. There is a river that's going to take you to that city. And that river has purpose. That's why it keeps fucking moving. And it says come. It says come and move. But you've decided to stop for so many fucking years. And at night, you hide. At day, you hide. And on the other side, there's an island. Across the river and across for miles to go. There is an island. On that island, there is a version of you. There is a version of you that is purified by the same fucking river that has been calling you. But you never believed in the river. You thought it was always in the sky. You thought that it's happening to you, or it's happening for you. You never thought that it's coming through you. So you never believed at what comes through you. You. And the map to the city is in your soul. But your mind was too busy creating the fucking mountain. So tonight, you get an opportunity to climb up, all the way up. And for the first time ever in your life, to see the light, the moon, shining on that fucking river. And you'll have a glance, just a glance, at this possible version of yourself. And you're going to have to choose to follow the river tonight. Tonight, you get to the river. Tomorrow, we got miles to go. The man you're seeking, he's in a city. A city created by himself. A city governed by himself. That city resides in an island. And your fate and your journey has brought you here. So you get two choices tonight. Worship the mountain or climb it. The choice is yours. In either case, the river will not dry up. Get to the river. Because the darker this fucking place gets, the worse it will fucking become. And when you start hearing the fucking wolves tonight, and when it starts getting fucking cold, and when your lies, your guilt, and your shame, they will hunt you. And when you have to face all this, it is in that moment that you have to remember that you can no longer hide behind this mountain. And if you only do that, if you only push that fear away, what could be possible for you? So tonight, you'll go in a place where you have to find a lot about yourself. And the only person that is going to guide you tonight is the one that you have ignored most of your life. Is the one that you truly never believed in. Is the one that you only believed in a week at a ceremony. Tonight you're gonna have your encounter. And if you miss it, that's on you. You hold the map. You know where the river is. So as long as you believe.
Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending where you guys are in the world, tuning in from. Thanks, a big thanks again, as usual, to good old Coach Sam for lighting our asses up with some fire to kick us off. So today, just a couple items of business, and then we will jump right into it with some training from Coach Garrett J. White at Warrior HQ. Today we're going into Chapter 3 of the new Warrior's Way trainer manual, and we'll be discussing the principles of power. I may or may not be joined by a couple brothers, but either way, we will get to some great training from Coach Garrett, and I will be sharing kind of what I've been working on, well, the last 2 years really, but I'll share my thoughts on this section. So real quick, anyone who's tuning in or who catches this replay, some of you guys obviously have been with me with Hero Foundry Accelerator Lab for several months now. I know it seems people have kind of dispersed a little bit because everybody's working on their own projects as we've kicked off 2024. I hope you guys are all kicking ass with your impossible games, and we always love when you get a chance to come around and check in and share where you're at, whether you're facing challenges and obstacles and need some perspective and feedback, or whether you've got small wins along your path to share and celebrate with us. But every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern, I will be here to the best of my ability, excluding holidays and things, but we'll be marching through this new Warrior operating system curriculum for the rest of the year, week by week. Now, so yeah, for those of you who do join, if you choose to join me live on this call, just be aware this is recorded. This is streaming live to our Facebook group with about 55 Warrior Brothers right now. It will stay in the archives of the Hero Foundry for eternity, hopefully. But, for the foreseeable several years, it will be available to our other students in our private community. And right now it is streaming to YouTube, where we have a small audience. At most, these videos maybe get 100 views over the next few months. We'll keep these they go live to YouTube, so that hopefully we can invite some more like-minded friends into the game, into our sandbox here at the Foundry Accelerator. But those will probably only be there for, you know, a limited time. I think in the coming months. I won't keep the recordings there forever. The archive will really be for members of the Hero Foundry and our King's Council and war room groups. So if you are looking for a private space where it stays like Fight Club, you know, just amongst the members. So if you have really deep, dark challenges or, you know, things to share from your pit, we do want to create the space for you guys to share those things as well. I mean, if you are courageous enough to share, you're always welcome to bring that here on the large group call, fireside chat style. But if you're looking for more privacy or more one-on-one, then I suggest go to warrioros.com and kingscouncil.com and check those out. We do have, you know, a business-focused war room group starting up for Q2 here very soon. And if you want one-on-one with me, you know where to find me. So with that, I am going to go ahead and get into this week's training from Coach Garrett over at Wake Up Warrior headquarters in Dana Point, California. Give me 1 second here to get this queued up. And yeah, so today, you know, the last 2 weeks, we started with a conversation around the pit of poverty and a conversation of scarcity mindset. And then we looked at, you know, where's the destination or what are we all aiming for, which is the peak of prosperity. That was last week's conversation. And again, thank you so much to my brother Samuel J. Sneed for joining me, bringing a lot to this conversation. And again, check out his book, Trigger Lists, on Amazon. But today we will dive into Chapter 3, The Principles of Power. So we've got a 10-minute training video here from Coach Garrett at HQ. If you're tuning in live for this, or if you're watching the replay, my suggestion is, you know, at least pull out your war map, your journal, or maybe your Warrior app and open up a note or, you know, notes on your computer, wherever it's easiest and most effective for you. But take down some notes. What jumps out at you during this 10-minute training? What lessons or revelations come about as you listen and watch? So we're going to jump into this. It'll be about 10 minutes, and then I will be right back to flesh out this conversation. So enjoy, and I'll see you in 10 minutes.
Chapter 3, The Principles of Power. See, this journey from the pit of poverty to the peak of prosperity does not require an external shift. It requires an internal transformation. It ultimately requires you to see yourself from a different place. The tools of the Warrior's Way system are going to support you in this. But in the beginning, what it's ultimately going to require is it's going to require you to transform, to die and be reborn. To die to the pit of poverty and be reborn to the peak of prosperity. To pull this off, you're going to need power. Power that comes from communion with God, power that comes from communion with yourself. Being able to accept who you are and being able to accept who God is in you and around you and through you, and what that relationship is experienced like. And as we accept that relationship for what it is, and we accept ourselves for who we are, and as this acceptance comes in, we begin to access the first principle of power, and that is that the facts will set you free. The facts are the truth. When I say the truth is where God is, and where God is, transformation occurs, and now this internal transformation I'm speaking about becomes possible. Well, the facts are what will set you free from the pit. It's a willingness to embrace the fullness of the fruit of your life, a willingness to accept what has been and is, as well as what could be. But for most, the pit of poverty and scarcity, has them numb away this awareness of facts, has them move away from this awareness of results, and has them ignore, justify, distort, and ultimately disguise what is truth with nothing more than lies. Yes, the facts will set you free, demand you to speak truth. It doesn't matter how ugly that truth is, it demands that you speak truth. If you do not speak truth, if you do not own truth, if you do not stand in this place of truth, you have no promise. And so all of us, day to day, find ourselves searching and longing for this idea of transformation, not knowing that the foundational principle of that transformation is to stop lying. That transformational foundation is to be in the facts, that the facts of your life, when accepted, will begin the process of transformation, that your freedom is on the other side of your willingness to tell the truth. This first principle leads us to the second, and that is purpose. The prosperity is the path. There is a purpose here in this life after the fall of Adam and Eve, and that purpose is very simple. Every day we go to sleep, every day we wake up, and in that nighttime we go to sleep, we die, and in the morning we wake up and we rise again. We live. And every day we get to make a decision. Today, do I choose to live or do I choose to be alive? These are very different pursuits. To choose to just live means that I choose to experience the process of transformation. To choose to be alive means I just survive in the pit of scarcity, and I survive until the next death when I go to bed tonight. For most human beings, they are alive. They're alive, moving around this world. They have become so accustomed to poverty and to scarcity and to fear and doubt and shame and guilt and obligation that their life itself is tolerated like someone living in a trailer who can barely survive day to day and barely has enough food to live most days. They come to accept that this is just how life is. Yet, just a few miles away, that's not the life of thousands of other people. But to them, that is their life. That is why no matter what you do, if I cannot accept the fact that the purpose of my life is to pursue this prosperity, that the purpose of my life is to set myself free from this prison through the power of God within me, that this causes a pursuit, that the purpose of my life is to get out of the pit, to get out of the pain, to get out of this scarcity and into a new place, a new awareness of what I am in my humanity and in my divinity. This pursuit in principle number 2 moves us into principle number 3, and that is perspective. That in order for me to make that purpose happen, I must learn to change my story in order to change my life. It is impossible for me to move from the pit to the peak to experience this internal transformation without a willingness to shift the stories in my mind. You see, the stories in your mind dictate what you will and will not do. These stories have become your beliefs, and these beliefs have become your laws. These stories and these beliefs and these laws have dictated this is who you are and this is what your possibilities are or are not. They keep you imprisoned in this pit of scarcity. And when we shatter and say transformation is occurring, what we're saying is that the stories of the pit must fucking die. And that those stories of your identity must die. And those stories of what you've been must die. And in order to rise from that place, I'm going to need new stories, new beliefs, and new laws that operate at the peak, not at the pit. This requires me to change my stories. And the life at the peak could not be any more different than the life in the pit. And that life at the peak demands a new set of stories. Once these stories are in play, it moves us into principle number 4, the game of power. Power and the principle of reverse engineered production. You see, to get anything in this life, to get more money requires you to access body, being, and balance to weaponize business. If we swap it and move it around, if I desire more in my game of body, then I gain power from my being, my balance, and my business, pushing that energy into my body. If I desire more transformation and getting my balance of my marriage and my relationship with my kids into abundance, then it is my being and my body and my business that will be leveraged to push energy into balance. You see, everything in your world is interconnected. All four of these domains are part of your dominion that God spoke about in Genesis. He gave man dominion over the earth to dominate themselves, not each other, not someone else, to dominate you. That you would be known by your fruit, that by your fruit we would know you. Not by how much you know the scriptures, not by how much you know the world, not by how much you do. We would know you by your fruit more than anything. And if it was good fruit, then it would speak of goodness. And if it was bad fruit, it would speak of badness, and it would speak of pits and peaks across the board. This reverse engineered production is the narrative of being able to use the core four to move ourselves forward by taking the strength of one area and accelerating that strength into the weakness of another. This ability to nail reverse engineered production leads us into the final principle. Principle number 5, production, the chaos of abundance. You see, your ultimate desire and mine for you is to live in abundance and have it all. Because in that place, abundance itself creates a new level of problems. You see, when you live in the pit, there aren't very many options. So life becomes more simple when you're broke, when your body's broken down, when your marriage is broken down, when your family's broken down, and when your life is broken down. There's limitations inside that box of the pit. But when you pursue that next peak, and when you change your stories and you change your life, and when you transform to move to this new place, well, a new set of problems come about, higher level problems, problems that are divine, which is, what do you do when you have access to the full gamut of your agency and your power and capacity to make decisions? What happens when everywhere you look in every area of your life, it is working? In this place becomes the ultimate peak of prosperity. When all of your life is working, the chaos of abundance will settle in. The fact that everything now becomes an option because you can do it. You have the resource, the time, the energy, the mindset, the networks, the relationships, the people, and the communion with God. And then that place becomes the ultimate purpose of life, which is pursuing the game of prosperity because you can, not because you have to.
Okay, sorry about that. So there you have it, from Coach Garrett. So let me see if I can pull up this whiteboard today. Got so many things going on. I got to get someone's help in here soon somehow. Yeah, just a side note, I have toyed around playing here with my little office studio setup. I pray that this audio is working okay today. When I see someone on the stream, hopefully I'll get some feedback from one of you guys, but I've switched things up, so hopefully I don't keep knocking this microphone. And got a little better lighting from this angle, so slowly we'll get there. Still waiting for my equipment to come, shipping from the States. Okay, so today, we have looked again, as I was saying, last couple of weeks, we looked at the pit of poverty. If this will work, come on. Here we go. So the darkness is where we began, right? In disconnection, desensitization, devaluation of our own soul and everything around us. This often leads to divorce, destruction of the family, and the damning of your life, frankly. And last week we compared that to life at the peak of prosperity. It's a very different picture, right? You know, this awakening, this activation, acceleration, acceptance of your spouse and others around. I mean, the acceptance of everyone, including yourself, alignment, aligning your family, aligning all areas of your life towards the divine, towards purpose, and then it leads you on this journey of ascension. So today, let's dig into, okay, so how do we stay closer to the peak? How do we, what principles must we, you know, make a part of us in order to climb this mountain? So I'll map out our principles. That Garrett explained in today's training. So it starts with potential, leading into purpose. Forgive me for my handwriting. This will get better with time, with practice. But these are the, okay, so these are the forces that we unleash by utilizing the warrior operating system, if that makes sense, right? The journey from the pit of poverty towards your own unique individual peak, whatever that looks like for you, that abundance, that prosperity unique to you. But so this journey is never linear, you know, it's a big messy squiggly line. It's not as pretty as what we map out here, or as simple, really. This is a, you know, this gives you the gist of like life's ups and downs, the roller coaster we ride, especially as entrepreneurs and business owners, or if you're any kind of leader. Life has its ups and downs, and so you're never going to completely escape having to spend time in the pit. There's actually one thing when I come back to review, and I've been meaning to share with you guys, is this 7 pits training from Coach Garrett. So I will do my best to leave the link for those of you, at least inside the Foundry, in the notes and description. There's 7 different pits that he explains through that training. But you know, the pits and peaks will never end as long as you're moving, but you're on a growing, rising journey where the problems and the solutions kind of get bigger and better. But the journey is not linear, and it's not uniform. It's not the same for everybody. It's unique to each of us. It requires more than just changing the things outside of you, externally in the world, you know, in your business or in your family. It demands an internal transformation, if that makes sense. So this transformational shift that bridges us between these two extremes, it's powered by these principles of truth. And these things are anchored in the well of human potential that you have within you, or that each of us has within ourselves, right? Potential, purpose, perspective, power, and production. We are all capable of these things, and of nurturing and cultivating these things in ourselves. But let's delve into these divine principles that Garrett lays out, that help define our path and our trajectory to, you know, empower us to make that ascent, to climb towards our peak, your own idea of freedom, whatever that means to you, having it all across your body, being, balance, and business. So principle 1, oh, come on, let me get this. Principle number 1. Let's label these real quick. Oh, I'm going to get better with this, guys. Is that right? 5. Principle number 1 regarding your potential is that the facts will set you free. So, one of the things that jumped out to me as I watched that training time and again is where Garrett says how the freedom that you're seeking lies on the other side of your willingness to tell the truth. So just like Jordan Peterson says, tell the truth or at least stop lying. This is our first and foremost principle with the Warrior Operating System. Here in this book, we live by a code. Stop lying, start leading, start living today is what this one says. Sorry. There's a couple different versions of this, but we live by a code. And what is that code? Ultimately, it boils down to telling the truth, seeking truth in yourself predominantly, and living in truth, walking in truth. So before anyone can rise from whatever situation you're in, whatever pit you're in, it's paramount that you know exactly where you are. So the first truth that we focus on and open up is to look at our, we call this process the fact maps within Warrior. And our Warrior OS gives us these tools to look at the facts of where you actually are today, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So we take a real deep assessment looking at the reality, the actual facts. Whether you're proud or embarrassed about them, we take a full account of the real, raw, relevant facts of where we are today, so that we can ground ourselves in reality, not fantasy. Because otherwise, you'll lack the ability to recognize and understand what potential you really have that lies within you. Every individual possesses a unique blend of talents, abilities, passions, regardless of what your current circumstances are. So, but acknowledging these truths and these facts about yourself is your first step towards real liberation. So it's identifying what problem areas you have, as well as like your strengths. What is your potential? What potential do you see in the different 4 realms of life across your body, your being, your balance, your business? So, that liberation or reaching any form of freedom is impossible if you've not been willing to hold yourself accountable to some degree, and to take stock of the fruit, the real results of your life across the board as it stands today. It's not only about where you are, but also about what and who you could become beyond what is right now in the moment today. Harnessing your potential provides the foundation upon which you can actually build this bridge to go over the gap from poverty to prosperity. So we start by living by the truth, first of all with ourselves, and uncovering the real raw facts across all areas. The facts will set you free. Principle 2 regarding purpose is that prosperity is the path. So in other words, prosperity really isn't like the end goal. There's not actually any one specific tangible like end destination in life, because life keeps going on and on and on, and no matter what achievements or what growth you make, this is why I call it a guiding star. You know, something ideally is always guiding you towards more. But so prosperity is not any like temporary material state, but it's a path. It's a path to achieve a higher calling and experience in your life. So identifying a purpose, a driving soul purpose, much bigger than you, that serves as a compass to direct your efforts and your energy and your time, you know, in endeavoring towards your peak of prosperity, your own impossible game, as we've termed it. Soul purpose transforms, like when you uncover that when you understand what your purpose is more and more, you know, it transforms mundane daily tasks into meaningful actions, whether you're serving others, whether you're creating things, or, you know, doing the work to evolve yourself as a person, as a soul. And this driving force of purpose is it's what propels you from the paralyzing depths of the pit, you know, that despair, towards invigorating heights of success at the peak. Principle number 3 is about perspective. And here at Warrior, we believe that when you change your story, not only do we believe, but we live it. We've seen it. You change your life. Oh, come on. Little crunched in there, a little messy. Change your story, change your life. Now, years and years ago, I mean, you hear this, right? From people who talk about shit like The Secret and, you know, this kind of happy, clappy plastic shit. This, what do they call that? Manifestation, right? But without putting in any work. I mean, some people are kind of living in a fantasy, right? And this principle may sound a little bit like fantasy to you, as it did to me years ago when I first encountered this idea. But it is so true. Every one of us, every individual on the face of the planet, you have this internal narrative. Or in other words, it's stories. It's not just one, but it's the many, many stories and beliefs the stories you tell to yourself about who you are, about where you come from, and about where you're going. And yeah, these stories, you know, you tell them over and over and over. They're self-reinforcing, self-fulfilling prophecies in a sense. They become your beliefs, which I think, as Garrett said, you know, these crystallize into the laws, right, of your life, which dictate and limit what is even possible for you and in your life. So often this internal narrative that you carry with you all day in your head primarily, but in your heart as well, this narrative, it's by and large given to us, kind of impressed upon us by our parents, by, you know, I mean, it's influenced by all kinds of external factors and by our past experience. And these stories about yourself, they were sold to you, you know, knowingly or not. They were you're taught, trained, and educated by your parents, you know, through churches, through school, teachers, and society at large, long before you're old enough to even know the truth of what's going on here in this life. So to arrive at the peak of prosperity and freedom, one needs to take control of this narrative to bridge from poverty to prosperity. You can redefine your life's trajectory simply by changing how you perceive challenges, setbacks, and even your own abilities and resources, you know. So if you can change your perspective, the things you look at change. A changed perspective can turn obstacles into opportunities. This is one of the principles from, I think it was Marcus Aurelius, but one of the Stoics. You know, the obstacle is the way, right? When you begin to adopt this mindset that you can change your story and it changes the reality around you, you start to see. You focus on whatever's holding you back. You then, you know, do what you can to get different perspective on it and change and adapt the stories you have, which influences your beliefs, which influences everything else. And so you turn obstacles into stepping stones. So the bottom line, and I'll get more into how we do it in a little bit, but the bottom line is you change your story of yourself and you can change your whole life. And I've seen this. I've done this big time, in my life, my own life. But let's go to principle number 4, power. And we have this idea of what we call reverse engineered production. So this kind of obviously leads into part 5, but what is reverse engineered production? You know, while your potential, and like seeking what is the potential in my current situation, even at the bottom of your pit, like you got to look around and take inventory, right, of what resources, what your skill sets and mindsets are, and even the people around you. Like take inventory, take a thorough self-assessment of the facts so that you can find potential in your world, in your day-to-day life. And as you do that, it creates a strong foundation to build upon. And your purpose, as you continue to tell the truth and dig up real, raw, relevant truth for yourself, purpose, as you discover that and uncover that, it gives you direction, some acceleration on your journey. Power is the energy you need to fuel that journey, right? So on a daily basis, you need to find and cultivate power in yourself and in your family, in the people around you, your teams, if you are a leader. But so this power that I'm talking about is not just some raw force, but it's this intelligent, reverse engineered production. It's this commitment to using these frameworks and tools and weapons we have that we've crafted to take what we have and reverse engineer what you want. This involves like visualizing your end goal. So where do you really want to be in a year? What is your impossible game, your targets across body, being, and balance and business that just that you want, but that you're committed, ruthlessly committed to pursuing and creating. So it takes visualization, then meticulously like charting a path backward to where you are today, to identify each step in the journey needed to get there. So that's the reverse engineering, right, portion. This principle demands proactive action, foresight, and strategic planning. It's what we do week by week, month by month, every quarter, and daily. But this strategic planning, all these fact maps, these monthly missions that we set for ourselves, and the accountability structures, the check-ins, the tracking, the metrics, all of this ensures that every effort is optimized, and you're anticipating every potential challenge or obstacle kind of along the way. This is a process that we engage in through using tools like the Warrior Stack, our weekly door and war map. You ask yourself, okay, here's what I'm committed to. Here's what it looks like. Here's how I would know if it's done and complete and done well. And then we ask ourselves, like, what are the obstacles that may likely get in the way? And you think it out before you even begin the battle. How can you prepare to meet those challenges? It requires you to see the truth behind the fruit that you desire, by investigating, okay, what is the root of, like looking at other people and examples of those who have the sort of life or the sort of business that you want, or the sort of marriage, and getting to know, okay, what does it really take? Not in some fantasy land, but what is the work required that you're going to have to do? The price you must pay to earn it. So finally, principle number 5, production. And he talks about the chaos of abundance. And strangely, another note I took down as I listened to Garrett, and I don't think I worked that in there, but this idea of reverse engineer production. He makes a really important point about how, we've got these 4 pillar areas of life. I for years called it mindset, health, wealth, and relationships. These are the different realms of our lives that we need to kind of balance and nurture all these different areas, right? But the reality is, like, you go through seasons and cycles, and there's always some area that may be a little weak, and there's other areas that may be very strong. So reverse engineered production also relies upon you draw from the strength in one area, and in order to direct that into the weakness of whatever other area. So as Garrett had said, if you want to propel your business forward, oftentimes we take, we leverage the strength and energy we may have in body, in being, and in balance to fuel your business. And it works with all the other realms too. Like if you're suffering in your marriage, in balance, oftentimes really the maybe counterintuitive truth is often that it's not really a marriage problem as much as it may, it's often a money problem. But how can you leverage those other 3 areas, your body, your being, and your balance, to propel your body, your being, and your business to propel your balance area, your marriage, your relationships? But finally, this last number 5 principle, production, the chaos of abundance. Say you're successful. I mean, you have been and you will be. When you break through into, from scarcity to abundance in your pursuit of real prosperity, you always inevitably face moments of like overwhelming the chaos of choice, the chaos of abundance. So too many opportunities, too many challenges, ideas, and decisions. This is what I struggled with as I built my first very successful business several years back. Is you start to attract so much attention. Your email inbox is overflowing every day. It's impossible to keep up with all the communication, the requests that come in, and it's a wonderful problem to have, all this attention and people desiring to like give you things, work with you, they want stuff from you, etc. But it's so hard to choose what to commit to when there's an overwhelming abundance of opportunities. We got noise coming out from outside. I hope it doesn't interfere too much. So production is the art of navigating this chaos of abundance. It's about prioritizing, streamlining, and converting abundance into tangible results, right? Production is about taking all the potential, and like actually creating. That's how you manifest, right? Is you do the work, you choose what you focus on, you do the work required, and then boom, there's results. But if you're not conscious and methodical to some degree about doing that, then the results that show up will be chaotic, and random to some degree. So, but this principle teaches us that abundance without direction or purpose can be as paralyzing as scarcity in some sense. So mastering the chaos ensures that you harness what you've got, the full spectrum of resources and possibilities available to you, in a way so it propels you closer to your vision of prosperity, to the peak that you are seeking, that you really are committed to conquering. In winding all of this down and kind of, in conclusion, it's now evident to us that the journey from the pit of poverty to the peak of prosperity is navigated using these principles of power. So, principle number 1, again, potential. The facts will set you free. Principle number 2, purpose. Prosperity is the path. That's what you're aiming at continually. And it changes and transforms and grows with time, but prosperity is the path that we're on. Principle number 3, perspective. Change your story, change your life. Principle number 4, power. We use reverse engineered production. And finally, principle number 5, production, the chaos of abundance. These are so much more than just, hazy concepts. They're actionable strategies that we use to build our path and build ultimately our destiny using the warrior operating system. So let me actually, before I wrap it up, kind of delve a little further into the actual tools and how does this play out, right? It looks like I'll just be here on my own today. So I'll just share a few last reflections looking at potential, purpose, perspective, power, and production. In play, how does this actually play out? Using the weapons of the warrior operating system. So I like to connect, in a sense, let me see. So, first thing in the morning, let's talk about on the daily, right? This is why we said you need power, You need power just to get up and fight the daily war, right? So power, where does power come from? I mean, there's a lot of places to find it, but with warrior as your daily operating system for life and for building your business, we use the core 4. So what is the core 4? If you're not in warrior, it is a sequence of really 8 different commitments that we make for ourselves. So it's a routine you build for yourself. It's a unique routine, unique to you, but it's a way to cultivate power across all of your core 4 areas. So that's body, being, balance, and business. We're assigned to identify and commit to two things in each of those areas. I'm not going to delve too deep into core 4 right now because that's not what we're focused on today, but it ends up being 8 activities that you do, or 8 practices. So it encompasses, your physical, taking care of your body, hitting the gym, fitness, and how you fuel your body. It encompasses also your spiritual practice. So many of us, are committed to daily meditation, prayer, Bible study, things like this. And obviously the stack, which is our journaling tool, is a way that we work through the inner work It's sort of a self-therapy tool. So, anything where you're building up those, altering your perspective, like we have here in principle 3, perspective, changing your story, building up your beliefs in a positive, empowering way. And then I don't know if I'll be able to pull off a nice graphic like I was thinking, but we got tools for production in the door. And finally, if you're playing the game the way it's designed to be played and lived, it all kind of leads towards purpose. But so, okay, these 4 things are a daily activity commitment. So power, that's why I get up and I do my core 4 first thing in the morning. I'm not always 100% successful, and personally I do. There's 1 or 2 things that I often save for early afternoon, like meditation, for example. But I some of the things that are part of my daily morning routine that give me power, and it's like I almost must do them, otherwise I start my day on the wrong foot. First thing is, I make myself a really nice coffee typically, but my first core 4 commitment is Bible study for myself. So I do a morning I actually read 2 different devotionals right now, and I do it every single day, and I connect with the Word of God, and I reflect on biblical wisdom and lessons, right? And I do a sort of a meditation, just applying it to myself and my life and where I'm at today. And that informs my trajectory. It builds my purpose every single day. It gets my mindset and my being in the right place to start working on what I'm here to do, right? So that's my first and foremost commitment every single day. I've been doing that going on 5 years straight with almost no fail. Like very, very few times have I missed that. I do often at least some, if I can't hit the gym, like this morning, didn't have the time before I have to do the prep work to be on this call and see the kids off and stuff. But if I'm not hitting the gym, then I do at least, 30 push-ups and often some air squats, body weight exercise that you can do anywhere. And so there's no excuses, right? I have a minimalistic protocol. I call it a hero protocol, by the way, but something that I follow. So I have no excuses, and no matter what, I get my body, my heart pumping, get a little sweat on, and it just gives me energy and power. So I don't show up like shit. And another thing is connecting with my family. Almost every morning I sit down to breakfast around the table with my kids and at least have a chance to make a small investment in my son and my daughter and my wife, before everybody starts going off to school, running errands and doing what they do. So these are these are the kind of things that I am devoted to on a daily basis to ensure that I start my day in power. And that is all facilitated by the frameworks that we have with Core 4. Now, the perspective, I kind of touched on it, but it's the stack. When we say, change your story, change your life, we have a tool here at Warrior to rewrite your stories and narratives, and really to ultimately kind of reprogram your own beliefs. Believe it or not, if you haven't tried it, challenge me on this. You don't believe me? Give it a try. Like I will give you, number one, I can give you access to some of the journaling, like the scripts, if you will, the processes, the sequence of questions. I can provide that within our Warrior Acceleration group to you. Or I can give you access to the Stack app for $1, okay? Give it a trial run. I think you get at least 2 weeks for $1. Try it. Do it every day for 14 days, and then come back to me. And, if you don't get anything out of it, you think it sucks, I'll give you your $1 back. Okay? I'll reimburse you. But you will find that that allows us literally to reshape, reframe our own stories and our narratives and our perspective about things, about the challenges you face. You know, I've used this tool hundreds and hundreds of times to reframe my thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, even about my wife. You know, and the craziest part is the new stories, the new beliefs that you uncover, that you create for yourself by choice. Those new beliefs begin to reflect in your actual, you know, material world in your life. So that's the tool for perspective. I will own my truth, and the one thing I've been struggling with very recently is I have not been doing a daily stack. I don't know why. I have a real resistance to it the last week or so. So I've not been doing it as consistently as I should. I've done hundreds and hundreds, like about 700 stacks over the last couple of years at least. But recently, yeah, I'm dealing with some problems that are so big and overwhelming. I think there's a resistance. I don't want to something's holding me back. That's my issue right now. But when I do the stack, it helps me unlock these problems. So I'm gonna do mine today as soon as I wrap this up soon. Production. Once you have your power and you do the work necessary to get, you know, perspective, to clear your mind, to cultivate positive, empowering perspective, then we go into production. And so what in warrior terms, production is within the door. The door is our productivity suite. And again, I will show and map out and discuss the door and how it works on another call in not too long, in a few weeks. But it is a set of tools that, yeah, enables and accelerates your production. You know, deciding, prioritizing your time, and identifying the most important domino tasks that you can knock over that will, you know, knock over other things. That's why we call our weekly domino door. But it's a set of tools, frames, and software to manage and track and empower your daily and weekly production, actually getting things done, you know, tracking your tasks. It's, you know, it's got a little bit of a to-do list functionality, but it's a whole lot more, right? But so I start my morning with a core 4 routine. I get perspective in the stack, and then I go to the door and I start working on the doing what's required, building my kingdom. And finally, like, doing all this work all leads into what we call the game, or the impossible game. And, you know, that integrates very well in the software with all of your your weekly and daily production work. But it's actually, the game is a set of frames, yeah, around, it's the guiding, it's like your GPS system, if that makes sense. You know, so you check in on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, a quarterly basis, and an annual basis. You do a return and report. You're doing your weekly general's tent. You're looking at what went well and what didn't go well, and, you know, what lessons you can derive. You know, recommit to new actions for the week ahead, and then you create an actual war plan, or, you know, a map of like, how are we going to break this down and achieve, you know, my weekly domino door, for example. But the game is what keeps you on track month by month with your missions, your quarterly targets, and ultimately all aimed at what is the big peak of prosperity that you are seeking to accomplish, you know, in a year out, 18 months out. That's the impossible game. And so the game in the medium to long term is what ultimately keeps us on track and growing with our purpose, our soul purpose, our divine purpose here in life. So that, I hope that is useful and gives some context, especially for the new guys. But when it comes to your daily routines and your weekly commitments, power is found through the core 4 routine. You get and improve your perspective daily using the stack tool. Our production is led and amplified through the door. And ultimately, purpose, we stay on track towards finding purpose and growing our divine purpose using the frames of the game. The core, the stack, the door, the game, and all of it, built on the foundation of living by the code. So as you embrace and internalize these principles that we've unpacked today, as you make them part of who you are, you equip yourself with the tools to dream of and actualize prosperity. It's not just a fantasy, but the warrior operating system weaponizes you. It equips you with the tools to actually dream up a better future for yourself, your family, and the people who you're guiding and leading, and to actualize it. So these tools, these principles form the bridge that spans the vast chasm between despair in the pit and triumph at the peak, reminding us that within each of us lies the power to transform your world. So thank you for tuning in for this acceleration training, warrior acceleration training. Again, I hope and pray. I didn't get feedback. I know a couple of you guys popped on briefly to watch. Enjoy the replay. This is going to stay within our warrior acceleration group and within the Foundry Accelerator. And I hope you'll share it with your brothers. Maybe you can share it with your wife or your business partner, or, one or two people who really, really mean a lot to you, because we will have these at least temporarily available through YouTube. If you want to invite somebody to the free community on Facebook, let me know. I'm happy to offer that, invitation to people that you guys know. But thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you got something out of this training. Please leave a comment down below. Give some feedback. Let me know, what did this bring about for you? What lessons, revelations, and insights jumped out at you? Did you enjoy this? Do you have constructive feedback? Let me know. Again, sorry for the noise outside. I hope that most of my audio came through fairly clean with the microphone. I'm going to find out in a second when I review the recording. I really pray that this setup works. And I'm going to make sure we don't have the lawnmowers outside on Wednesday mornings next time. And I will see you guys next week for chapter 4, where we will dive into the path of production. All right. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves and take care of your brother. I hope you have an empowered week and go kick some ass. And we'll see you guys inside of Warrior Acceleration and the Hero Foundry Accelerator. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Check out where is this? Check out Warrior OS and kingscouncil.com. Okay, guys. Thank you. And have a great week. And we'll see you soon.
I had a dream once. I was in the cemetery of an old church surrounded by the graves where great men of the past had been buried. And so all of a sudden the graves started to open and an armed king stood up. And another grave opened and another armed king stood up. And this happened all around me. And these were very formidable figures, right? They were the great heroes of the past. And after a number of them appeared on the scene, they looked around and saw each other, and being warrior types, they immediately started to fight. The question is, what stops the great kings of the past from fighting? And I had a revelation. They all bowed down to the figure of Christ. And then I woke up and I thought, what in the world did that possibly mean? And then I understood it. If you have 20 kings, let's say, and you took the thing that was most king-like about each of them, and then you combined it into a single figure, then you'd get a single figure of transcendent heroism, of transcendent good. That figure of transcendent good is symbolized by the image of Christ. And the purpose of that image is so that even the tyrannical king has someone to bend his knee to.